Yirmiyahu, or Jeremiah, chapters 23 through 25. Woe to the shepherds destroying and scattering the sheep of my pasture, declares Yehovah. Therefore thus said Yehovah Elohim of Israel against the shepherds who feed my people. You've scattered my flock, driven them away, and have not tended them. See, I'm punishing you for the evil of your deeds, declares Yehovah. Therefore I shall gather the remnant of my flock out of all the lands where I have driven them, and shall bring them back to their fold, and they shall bear an increase. And I shall raise up shepherds over them, and they shall feed them, and they shall fear no more, nor be discouraged, nor shall they be lacking, declares Yehovah. See, the days are coming, declares Yehovah, when I shall raise for David a branch of righteousness, and a sovereign shall reign and act wisely, and shall do right ruling and righteousness in the earth. In his days Yehudah shall be saved, and Israel dwell safely. And this is his name whereby he shall be called, Yehovah our righteousness. Therefore see, the days are coming, declares Yehovah, when they shall say no more, as Yehovah lives, who brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Mitzrayim. But, as Yehovah lives, who brought up and led the seed of the house of Israel out of the land of the north, and from all the lands where I had driven them, and they shall dwell on their own soil. My heart within me is broken because of the prophets. All my bones shake like a drunken man, and like a man overcome by wine, because of Yehovah, and because of his set-apart words. For the land is filled with adulterers, for the land mourns because of a curse. The pastures of the wilderness are dried up, and their course is evil, and their might is not right. For both prophet and priest have become defiled. Even in my house I have found their evil, declares Yehovah. Therefore, their way is to them like slippery ways in the dark. They are driven on, and they shall fall in them. For I bring evil on them in the year of their punishment, declares Yehovah. And I've seen folly in the prophets of Shomeron. They prophesied by Baal and led my people Israel astray. And among the prophets of Jerusalem I've seen a horrible matter, committing adultery and walking in falsehood, and they strengthen the hands of evil ones, so that no one turns back from his evil. All of them are like Sodom to me, and her inhabitants like Amorah. Therefore thus said Yehovah of hosts concerning the prophets, See, I'm making them eat wormwood, and shall make them drink poisoned water. For defilement has gone out into all the land from the prophets of Jerusalem. Thus said Yehovah of hosts, Do not listen to the words of the prophets who prophesy to you. They lead you astray. They speak a vision of their own heart, not from the mouth of Yehovah. They keep on saying to those who despise me, Yehovah has said you shall have peace. And to all who walk according to the stubbornness of their own heart, they say, No evil comes upon you. For who has stood in the counsel of Yehovah and seen and heard his word? Who has listened to his word and obeyed it? See, a storm of Yehovah shall go forth in a rage, a whirling storm. It whirls on the head of the wrong. The displeasure of Yehovah shall not turn back until he has done and established the purposes of his heart. In the latter days you shall understand it perfectly. I did not send these prophets, yet they ran. I have not spoken to them, yet they prophesied. But if they had stood in my counsel, then they would have let my people hear my words, and they would have turned them from their evil ways and from the evil of their deeds. Am I an Elohim close by, declares Yehovah, and not an Elohim afar off? If anyone is hidden in secret places, would I not see him, declares Yehovah. Do I not fill the heavens and the earth, declares Yehovah? I have heard what the prophets have said who have prophesied falsehood in my name, saying, I have dreamed, I have dreamed. Till when shall it be in the heart of the prophets of falsehood, the prophets of the deceit of their own heart, who try to make my people forget my name by their dreams, which everyone relates to their neighbor, as their fathers forgot my name for Baal? The prophet who has a dream, let him relate the dream, and he who has my word, let him speak my word in truth. What is the chaff to the wheat, declares Yehovah? Is not my word like a fire, declares Yehovah, and like a hammer that shatters a rock? Therefore, see, I am against the prophets, declares Yehovah, who steal my words, every one from his neighbor. See, I am against the prophets, declares Yehovah, who use their tongues and say, he declares. See, I am against those who prophesy false dreams, declares Yehovah, and relate them and lead my people astray by their falsehoods and by their reckless boasting. But I myself did not send them, nor have I commanded them, and they do not profit this people at all, declares Yehovah. And when these people, or the prophet, or the priest ask you, saying, what is the message of Yehovah? Then you shall say to them, what message? I shall forsake you, declares Yehovah. As for the prophet and the priest and the people who say, the message of Yehovah, I shall punish that man and his house. This is what each one says to his neighbor, and each one to his brother. What has Yehovah answered, and what has Yehovah spoken? But the message of Yehovah you no longer remember. For every man's message is his own word. For you have changed the words of the living Elohim, Yehovah of hosts, our Elohim. This is what you say to the prophet. What has Yehovah answered you, and what has Yehovah spoken? But since you say, the message of Yehovah, therefore thus said Yehovah, because you say this word, the message of Yehovah, and I have sent you saying, do not say the message of Yehovah. Therefore, see, I shall utterly forget you and cast you away from my presence, along with the city that I gave you and your fathers, and shall put an everlasting reproach on you and an everlasting shame that is not forgotten. Chapter 24. Yehovah showed me, and look, there were 2 baskets of figs set before the Hekal of Yehovah after Nebuchadrezzar, sovereign of Babel, had exiled Yechanyahu, son of Jehoiakim, sovereign of Yehuda, and the heads of Yehuda with the craftsmen and the smiths from Jerusalem, and had brought them to Babel. 1 basket had very good figs, like the figs that are first ripe, and the other basket had very spoiled figs, which could not be eaten, they were so spoiled. And Yehovah said to me, what do you see, Yirmiyahu? And I said, figs. The good figs, very good, and the spoiled, very spoiled, which could not be eaten, they're so spoiled. Again the word of Yehovah came to me, saying, thus said Yehovah, the Elohim of Israel, like these good figs, so do I acknowledge the exiles of Yehuda, whom I've sent out of this place for their own good into the land of the Kasdim. And I shall set my eyes on them for good, and I shall bring them back to this land, and I shall build them and not pull them down, and I shall plant them and not pluck them up. And I shall give them a heart to know me, that I am Yehovah, and they shall be my people, and I shall be their Elohim, for they shall turn back to me with all their heart. And as for the spoiled figs that could not be eaten because they're so spoiled, for thus said Yehovah, so do I give up Tzidkiyahu, the sovereign of Yehuda, his heads, the rest of Yerushalayim who remain in this land, and those who dwell in the land of Mitzrayim. And I shall make them a horror to all the reigns of the earth, for evil to be a reproach and a byword, a mockery and a curse in all the places to which I drive them. And I shall send the sword, scarcity of food, and the pestilence among them, till they're consumed from their land that I gave to them and their fathers. Chapter 25. The word that came to Yirmiyahu concerning all the people of Yehuda in the 4th year of Yehoiakim, son of Yoshiyahu, the sovereign of Yehuda, which was the 1st year of Nebuchadrezzar, sovereign of Babel, which Yirmiyahu the prophet spoke to all the people of Yehuda and to all the inhabitants of Yerushalayim, saying, from the 13th year of Yoshiyahu, son of Ammon, sovereign of Yehuda, even to this day, this is the 23rd year in which the word of Yehovah has come to me. And I have spoken it to you, rising early and speaking, but you have not listened. Moreover, Yehovah has sent to you all his servants, the prophets, rising early and sending them. But you have not listened, nor inclined your ear to hear, saying, turn back now everyone from his evil way and from the evil of your deeds, and dwell on the soil which Yehovah has given to you and your fathers forever and ever. And do not go after other mighty ones to serve them and to bow down to them, and do not provoke me with the works of your hands, so that I do you no evil. But you did not listen to me, declares Yehovah, so as to provoke me with the works of your hands for your own evil. Therefore thus said Yehovah of hosts, because you did not obey my words, see, I'm sending and taking all the tribes of the north, declares Yehovah, and Nebuchadrezzar, the sovereign of Babel, my servant, and shall bring them against this land and against its inhabitants and against these nations all around, and shall put them under the ban and make them an astonishment and a hissing and everlasting ruins. And I shall banish from them the voice of rejoicing and the voice of gladness, the voice of the bridegroom and the voice of the bride, the sound of the millstones and the light of the lamp. And all this land shall be a ruin and a waste, and all these nations shall serve the sovereign of Babel 70 years. And it shall be, when 70 years are completed, that I shall punish the sovereign of Babel and that nation, the land of the Kasdim, for their crookedness, declares Yehovah, and shall make it everlasting ruins. And I shall bring on that land all my words which I've pronounced against it, all that's written in this book, which Yirmiyahu has prophesied concerning all the nations. For they too shall be enslaved by many nations and great sovereigns, and I shall repay them according to their deeds and according to the works of their hands. For thus said Yehovah Elohim of Israel to me, take this wine cup of wrath from my hand, and make all nations to whom I send you drink it. And they shall drink and shake and go mad because of the sword that I'm sending among them. I then took the cup from the hand of Yehovah and made all the nations drink to whom Yehovah had sent me, namely Yerushalayim, and the cities of Yehuda, and its sovereigns, its heads, to make them a ruin, an object of astonishment, a hissing, and a curse, as it is this day. Pharaoh, sovereign of Mitzrayim, and his servants, and his heads, and all his people, and all the mixed multitude, and all the sovereigns of the land of Uz, and all the sovereigns of the land of the Philistines, even Ashkelon, and Azah, and Ekron, and the remnant of Ashdod, Edom, and Moab, and the children of Ammon, and all the sovereigns of Tzor, and all the sovereigns of Sidon, and the sovereigns of the coastlands which are beyond the sea, Dedan, and Tamar, and Buz, and all who are in the farthest corners, and all the sovereigns of Arabia, and all the sovereigns of the mixed multitude who dwell in the wilderness, and all the sovereigns of Zimri, and all the sovereigns of Elam, and all the sovereigns of the Medes, and all the sovereigns of the north, far and near, one with another, and all the reigns of the earth which are on the face of the ground. Also, the sovereign of Shishak shall drink after them. And you shall say to them, Thus said Yehovah of hosts, the Elohim of Israel, drink, be drunk, and vomit. Fall and rise no more because of the sword which I am sending among you. And it shall be, when they refuse to take the cup from your hand to drink, then you shall say to them, Thus said Yehovah of hosts, you shall drink. For look, I'm beginning to bring evil upon the city which is called by my name, and should you be entirely unpunished? You're not going unpunished, for I am calling for a sword on all the inhabitants of the earth, declares Yehovah of hosts. And you shall prophesy against them all these words, and say to them, Yehovah roars from on high, and utters his voice from his set-apart place. He roars mightily over his fold, a shout, as those who tread the grapes, against all the inhabitants of the earth. Tumult shall come to the ends of the earth, for Yehovah has a controversy with the nations. He shall enter into judgment with all flesh. The wrong he shall give to the sword, declares Yehovah. Thus said Yehovah of hosts, see, evil is going forth from nation to nation, and a great whirlwind is raised up from the farthest parts of the earth. And in that day the slain of Yehovah shall be from one end of the earth even to the other end of the earth. They shall not be lamented or gathered or buried, for their dung on the face of the ground. Howl, you shepherds, and cry, and roll yourselves in ashes, you leaders of the flock, for the days of your slaughter and your scatterings are completed, and you shall fall like a choice vessel. And a place of refuge shall perish from the shepherds, and escape from the leaders of the flock. Hear the cry of the shepherds, and a wailing of the leaders of the flock, for Yehovah is ravaging their pasture. And the pastures of peace shall be cut down because of the burning displeasure of Yehovah. Like a lion, he shall leave his hiding place, for their land shall become a waste because of the sword of oppressors and because of his burning displeasure.